Welcome to another Our Self-Sufficient Life video. Now, if you're like me, you're trying to cut costs, be more self-sufficient, all that sort of stuff. I love sugarcane mulch. Who doesn't? It's good for the garden. Its consistency is fantastic. It spreads well. But when you're using a lot of it, it's pretty expensive. So, straw, depending on where you are, you can get straw for next to nothing. You can pay a little bit for it in places, but if you're in a rural area, around farms and stuff, you might be able to get it dirt cheap, which I can, but it's thick, it's painful to use, and it's bloody hard to use at times too. Good for compost, but painful in the garden, but it is good for the garden. Straw is proven to be good for the garden if you can get the right straw. So today we have straw with a difference. We have a mulcher. This was an eBay special. I bought it a few years ago. It hasn't done a lot. And I thought to myself last night, trying to cut costs, how can I cut my straw, my mulching costs? And I thought, I'm going to start running it through this. So I've ran a small test batch and I'll show you how it is. We've put some through the mulcher and I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm going to video of the mulching process. But this is what's coming out. Look at it. It's fine straw. Here's the odd thick bit, big deal. Look how fine. This is just like sugarcane mulch. It's unbelievable. And this will cost me 1/100th of the cost if I can get the straw for the right price. There's a little bit of upfront cost with the mulcher, but I'll get some prices on towards the end of the video on what they cost. But this stuff is magic. The only thing I'd like to try, I had the straw bale sitting outside in the rain. I've just copped 37 mil of rain 2 days ago. Okay, I shouldn't have the straw outside. It might get a bit mouldy and all that, I know all this, but I've done it. Anyway, I'm putting it through wet. It's not as dusty, but I reckon it'll probably go through better even dry. But anyway, we're going to show you the video of how it goes through wet in a minute. But this, I'm just absolutely stoked at how good this has come up. It's absolutely amazing. And I reckon a season or two, well, maybe a couple of seasons, especially with a big garden, my cheap mulcher is going to pay for itself. Feeding fairly well. Now, some of you are going to notice there's no guards in place from the top of the hopper into the mulcher. The machine definitely comes with these rubber guards that go around, and this day and age we live in, I'd have to say to you, if you had a mulch with no guards, that it's unsafe to use and don't use it. That's what I've got to tell you. I found them to be an absolute pain in the rear end and made the machine almost unusable. If you've got common sense, do what you got to do. Something we lack in the world a lot today. Now, I've got a spot that I wouldn't let my hand go any lower than. Coming up, I've got a slow motion of a video in the hopper. I'll show what happens in the hopper. Make no mistake, if your hand touched those blades, you would lose whatever touches them very quickly and very painfully. By the time I got towards the end of the first bale, I was starting to get the hang of it. By the time I finished putting the second bale through, as you see, I'm poking a lot with the stick here coming up. I'm jamming a lot, and I'm thinking at this point, this is bloody hard work, which is okay, but there's got to be a cost reward benefit. I actually didn't use very much fuel doing the 2 bales. There wasn't a full tank, and it still has fuel in it. I don't know how much I used, but it actually wasn't much. By the time I got through the second bale, this poking the stick, I reckon the whole second bale I probably did this less than half a dozen times with the stick. And I reckon if I did had a third one there, it would be even less. I started getting the hang of it, started seeing how the straw goes through best. Now, what I do need to do differently, I need like a table or something right next to the mulcher, where the straw is going from that into the mulcher rather than sitting on top the way it is. And the second thing, I obviously need a bay instead of just shooting straw all over me bloody lawn and then raking it up. I mean, it was okay, but if I had a bay, I'd shoot into the bay, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to try next. I did put a little bit through, and I think I talk about it in the video, but running it through a second time. Now, I did a little bit a second time, but I can't honestly give you an idea of how well it worked the second time because I just shot it straight over the original pile. Pick it up, throw it in, back where it came from. So if I had a bay, I'd shoot into a bay, pull the mulcher back to the bay next door, throw it from that into the next. Now, it actually fed very well when I shot it through the second time. Is it better? That's the bit I don't know yet because I didn't test it properly. I'd nearly like to say it is, and I hope it is. Does it need to be done? No, the first one, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. I'm really happy with it. I've actually mulched, and we'll see it in the video coming up. I've actually already mulched some garden bed with it, and I'm really stoked with it. Now, cost. I said earlier about the cost. I had a quick look online, and this mulcher that I'm using is selling for somewhere around $1,000, give or take a couple of hundred either side of that 1,000. Would I pay that for this mulcher today? No, I'm afraid I wouldn't. To me, it's not worth $1,000, this mulcher. It works okay, but it's definitely not a $1,000 mulcher. The sticks, like the one I'm using to poke, won't go through that very well. It's not meant to go through the top chute. It's meant to go through the side chute, just down below the top chute, which is not a great design. They've got to be very straight, and all the reviews for this say the same thing. Everyone's got the same complaint. However, for just doing the straw, I had a quick look. Mitre 10 had one for about $400, an electric one. I don't know how it's going to work. No idea whatsoever. If it worked similar, even if it was a touch slower, whatever, it might be okay. By the time I got through the second bale, I was really getting the hang of it, and I barely touched the stick. Yeah, try. I'd love to see an electric mulcher work. I'm not going to go and buy one just for this. Like I say, this does a good job, and I only paid $400 or $500 for this about 4 years ago. It's done a little bit of work, not a huge amount. But yes, I'd absolutely get a mulcher for doing this, without a doubt. Which one, I don't know. This one's okay, but it's not a great mulcher. It's definitely not a $1,000 mulcher. If anyone has an electric mulcher, I'd love to see you get a bale of straw and show us all what it does. It'd be great to see. As I say, I just can't spend the money buying one to test it, but I'd love to see it done. If anyone wants to put a video up or shoot me a link or something, I'd love to see you do it. So here's the slow-mo recording I promised. Okay, the straw going in. You can see the blade turning down the bottom there. And it just sucks that straw in and chews it up. You can see if you put a finger or a hand down there, it's gone. There's no question you would lose it very painfully and violently. So you can just see the blade spinning there. I'll drop a little bit of straw in. That's at about 1/10 of normal speed. You can see how fast the blades are still turning compared to how slow the straw's falling. Definitely comes with danger, and you've got to be on the ball. Any complacency is just not welcome when working this machine. Just common sense, don't get complacent. And it sucks a big bit in. This is my one bale. Well, and dog likes it as a bed too. Yeah, that's unreal. I'm out of breath. I've been hammering at it. I'll try and work out some stats a bit later, but that's what she looks like. This bed for the new mulch, I'm going to make it 100% broccoli. I'm going to try and get some moisture into it before we mulch it to hold moisture. Got all the bed nice and wet now, getting the mulch down. The mulch will help hold the moisture in the bed. Here I'm windrowing the mulch because I'm planting seed in there, so I'm windrowing the mulch away from where I'm planting the seed. Once the seed germinates and grows up, is a few inches high, then I can put the mulch right across the bed, but we're leaving that open now for the seed to germinate through without any hindrance from the straw, which is almost like sugarcane mulch now, thanks to the mulcher. So I've made 6 rows here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty close to the edge on that one. Staying a little bit further from that one. I was going to leave the centre for a walkway. I'll do it last. I might still do that yet. So there's my rows for my broccoli, and my healer is in my garden, and he shouldn't be. Come on, Harry, get out. Come on. Harry, come on. Good boy. Righto, so let's plant some broccoli. Actually, first off, I'm going to wet that in. So I wet the bed in already before the mulch. And I wet the mulch in. So it'll look nice and wet. And then after I plant the seed, I'll water them in with good old sea salt. I learned not to tell secrets in the garden the other day. I learned the hard way. The potatoes have eyes, the corn have ears, and the beans stalk. So you can see I'm pulling the mulch away, digging a little bit of a trench. Try and sparingly and thinly pour the seeds in so I don't have a crowd and have to pull out later. But you know I'm going to get that wrong. And then fill it back in, and I'll pull that mulch away. Apparently not yet, but I will at the end. Pull the mulch away to leave the soil clear for the plants to germinate out. So I've planted broccoli in this whole bed. Waltham in the left 2 rows, and
Desico, if I have the pronunciation right, there on the screen in the far 3 rows. I've decided I'm going to leave the middle as a walkway.
Welcome to our self-sufficient life on this Easter Monday. Today is the 20-something of the 23rd year. No good.
Don't be a dickhead.
Cut. Take 3. Whew.
Your cameraman doesn't get paid enough to stand here while you take cuts. Let's go.
Welcome to another self-sufficient life video. That's what our cut.